It's 5 in the morning. I haven't filmed a video in a while. I've been really, really burnt out. I think work has really gotten the best of me. It's been like event after event after event. So 4 weeks of really big events for me, and I've had no time to really like rest and recover. Last night I realized the inner conflict I have when it comes to self-care. Like, all of my friends were gathering for dinner and it was like really wholesome vibes, but I was so unbelievably tired, and I still felt this immense amount of guilt that I couldn't go, that I couldn't regulate my emotions to be like happy, but I was just so exhausted and so tired, and all I wanted to do was go home and sleep. But coming to that decision was so difficult and catastrophic in a way, because I felt like I was letting my friends down. I felt like I was letting myself down. I felt like just a failure for not being able to like keep up or be spontaneous or like, just be able to regulate my really, really intense emotions. But I think I just realized I was so freaking tired that of course I couldn't do that. I'm exhausted. And I went to bed at 6:30 last night and I only just woke up. I've not been creative. I haven't collaged in months. I haven't journaled in months. And like, the funny thing is I don't actually feel that guilty about it. Before, when I used to take long hiatuses from Instagram, because I usually do, I feel really guilty about it. I actually don't right now. I think I've like come to the conclusion that creativity works in cycles. You can be really, really creative, you can feel really, really motivated, and then all of a sudden it can stop, and that's totally fine. It's just a cycle. Like, I just have so much trust and belief that I will get to the other side of the cycle where I feel like making again, and it just takes patience and time. But the minute you try and rush yourself to do something and push yourself to be creative, I just feel like my best work doesn't come out. Yeah, going through that. Another really big thing that's kind of happening in my life at the moment, and I will probably start to cry about it, is that I have to denounce my Singaporean citizenship, which is really quite sad. I really, really wanted to make this video in hopes that people could understand why this would make someone really sad. But anyway, I have dual citizenship. I'm Australian and I also have Singaporean citizenship. And unfortunately, when you become at a certain age, you have to revoke your Singaporean citizenship. And I think having to do this has made me reflect a lot about my perspective, how I view myself and my cultural identity. And yeah, it's just really sad to have to revoke a part of you. And I know that a citizenship doesn't take away from who I am as a person and being Singaporean. But I think when you live, especially when you're an ABC, which is like American born, well, the term I'll use is ABC, American born Chinese or Australian born Chinese, or you're an Asian or person of colour living in a predominantly white country, I think having citizenship of where you come from means so much to you. Because I think it's the thing that ties you back home. And having to revoke that is really, really sad. And it definitely feels like I'm losing that connection. And I know it's just a passport or a certificate or a piece of paper, but I think when you grow up in a predominantly white country, I think I'm realizing that that piece of paper means a lot to me, especially when you are, you have to deal with microaggressions every day, or you have to constantly explain where you're from. I know that there are a lot of people in my life and my friends who don't even have the privilege of having a dual citizenship. I think it was something that, like, I took for granted now that it's being taken away from me. And it sounds really silly, and but yeah, it's a really big decision I've had to make. My life is in Australia, my home is in Australia, but I think not having that proof and validity that I'm also Singaporean is really hard. Even having to go back to Singapore and not line up in the Singaporean line, like, that's so sad. I don't want to feel like a foreigner in my own home. Oh. Anyway. So a lot has been going on. I don't really expect a lot of people to kind of understand this experience. It's very specific. Not a lot of people have dual citizenship, and I actually don't talk about it a lot. It's like the road not taken, and I had to really consider what revoking my citizenship looked like. I've probably butchered that word so many times in this video. But, what if I do want to live in Singapore later in my life? And that would be harder, but also, like, not being Australian, which is my home right now. A lot of things are happening in the political sphere with immigrants and visas, and it's a really, like, constantly changing environment. And what would that look like if I live in Australia and I'm not a citizen? Like, what would that mean for employment? So I've had all of these decisions to make. There have been a lot of things this year that have helped me come to terms with my heritage, and I feel like this year as a whole I've really been just reflecting a lot on what that means to me. And I've gained so many friends along the way through that journey, and it's really sad that I haven't even spoken to them about it. I think maybe it felt like a very privileged thing to talk about, so I didn't really want to talk about it, but that's kind of where I've been. It's really unfortunate that I feel like I don't have control over this decision, because if I did, I'd keep both of my citizenships and be a dual citizen. Even though, like, I know having a passport doesn't make me any less Singaporean. I'm realizing now that when I don't have it, it was a lot of things for me that made me feel Singaporean. And having to grieve that loss is really sad. So I think I just need to reframe my thinking and, like, try and find those things that make me feel Singaporean. It's really freaking hard living in Australia. I think I just have to find different ways to make me feel proud of who I am without needing a passport to prove that. I think that's probably the hardest thing, is trying to find what that is, and it's scary. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now.